Good or bad. Anyway, I'm wondering whether the Democrats can match a tax cut when they don't have something, a penny to give out. John Braben, I'm sure you have that thought. The Democrats don't have a candidate in the race for best tax cut, unfortunately for them.
Well, that's right. I mean, let's remember one thing, and I am a media consultant. I think in terms of how am I going to use this in an election, Republican candidates can tell 80% of taxpayers they cut their taxes, and we can tell them that the Democrats refuse to cut their taxes. We talked a moment ago about saying that, you know, Trump owns the economy right now. That's not really a bad thing to do. You have the stock market going through the roof. And remember, of people who make $30,000 plus, 70% of them get some income based upon the stock market. We have jobs numbers that are very good, and we have companies that are now handing out large Christmas bonuses because of this tax cut. So the real lesson is we now have something to run on. Do we use this to move forward, to pass other legislation that we can run on? And I think that's the real wild card at the moment.
Chris, can I just say, you know, a very wise guy called Chris Matthews once said many years ago at a talk that I was at that politics is about where you put the wedge in. And when you put the wedge in between the middle class and the poor, so that the middle class identify with the rich, Republicans win. You put that wedge in between the rich and the middle class such that the middle class identify with people below them, Democrats win. That tax bill that's going to give an average of $18 a week to people making under $75,000 a year versus the $15 million Donald Trump will get, the $4 to $12 million his cabinet gets. Hold on a second, John. The fact is the messaging on that tax bill, the reason it's so unpopular and the reason that 2/3 of people hate it and only like a quarter of people even kind of like it is because it's a giveaway to the very rich, permanent tax cuts for corporations and almost nothing for the average person. That's why people hate it. Even Democrats, as bad as they are sometimes at politics, can figure out the messaging on that.
So,
John, so really, then the
Democrats learn. Let me ask you this: are you afraid the Democrats will actually learn how to run against? As if Joy were running for president? I mean, Joy's got the juice here.
This is what,
I don't see the same juice from. I'm sorry, I don't dislike them. I do like them personally, but I got to tell you, I don't hear Schumer or Pelosi or any of the leadership talk with that kind of pizzazz, that kind of excitement. They don't. They read the notes in front of them. Usually, have to read them because they haven't bothered to even memorize their points, which is ridiculous. That's their job. They come out and they read something on camera, then they go back to have lunch or something. I don't know, count votes. John, do you fear the Democrats' ability to exploit this tax bill, to exploit it?
I can't wait to see that, because I can't figure out is the argument that we didn't cut taxes enough, or you'll hear some of my Democrats friends say, well, it drove up, you know, $1 trillion in deficit. Where were all these deficit hawks?
That's not the argument.
They're not deficit hawks.
During the Obama administration.
It's simpler than that. You get $18. Trump gets $15 million. Your CEO millions.
Here's what you got to understand.
It's real simple.
When you say corporations are getting tax cuts, everybody tries to think, oh, that must be these big companies. Most of them are small companies who are corporations, number one. Number two is what this has done is made America more competitive internationally.
No, it hasn't.
Which means you just made somebody's hardworking family job more secure than it was.
Foreign, international, other countries aren't just going to take it lying down. They're already cutting their corporate tax rates. It's a race to the bottom. And when you say corporations, people think they're boss. People think my CEO, my boss, I go to work every day, I'm unappreciated. My boss, the CEO, the boss of the company is getting millions, and I get $18. Nobody's going to side with you and the rich on this, John. Sorry.
Would the Democrats prefer to raise taxes?
Joy, just give him a paragraph or two without that brilliant anthem. Just let him give it, because he's trying to catch up to you here. Let him try. Okay, go ahead, Bravender, your shot.
Well, I don't understand the argument. So under that, guys, I guess what the Democrats are saying, shame on those Republicans cutting your taxes. We should have raised taxes. We should have raised them on corporations. You know, I'm very anxious to go do an ad next year apologizing that we cut taxes, apologizing job growth is up, apologizing the stock market's up.
This is a good debate, and I like the debate, but let me go to...
So should have brought my popcorn here. Was really fun.
No, it is important, because it is a fight for the middle, and that's what the votes are. We all know this is about that wedge thing that Joy mentioned, which I forgot I taught, but it is a very important question. When the economy's going down, for example, then the middle identifies with the poor. When the economy's going up, the middle oftentimes says, I want to be part of that rich crowd. So it's a different thing. But when the Treasury money, the tax cuts, seem to be divvied out so disproportionately to the people who worry about estate taxes and alternate minimum taxes and that 39.6 tax rate and that kind of stuff. Corporate tax cuts. It looks like it's being ladled out to the rich.
And I mean, the problem with John's argument is, if this tax cut is so great, why is it polling so terribly?
That's a great
right
question,
now?
John. To you, sir.
So,
to you.
Well, first of all, here's how people judge their income, particularly working families, middle income, is take-home pay. If they start to see their take-home pay rise, believe me, they're going to be very happy.
$18?
Let me ask you this.
You know what? That's not accurate.
Okay, can I ask you this? Do you think Democrats...
Wait, hang on one sec. President Obama, when he engineered a pretty small rise in take-home pay, you know how much political credit he got for it? Nada.
And it was a bigger tax cut than this. The stimulus bill was a bigger tax cut than this. People look and they say, wait a minute. These guys are flying around on private jets, laughing at me. They're getting millions of dollars. Donald Trump and his fat cat friends are scooping up all the money, and then they're going to cut my health care. They're going to cut Medicaid. They're going to cut, and they gave me $18. Easy messaging.
Joy, I hope all your Democrat friends next year run on ads announcing that they and voted no on the tax
I now will
cut.
make a prediction for all of you, and I think this is the American debate we're hearing right here, which I often like, thanks to Joy and John. The American debate occurs on hardball. What you're hearing now, if you're a new American who's just got here and you're learning English, this is what we fight about. You got it? I will say this for my oracle of whatever thought. I think your side, John, since we're calling ourselves Democrat and Republican here, I think your side of the argument will win 3 or 4 points next week in the polling, just because of all the ballyhoo. One thing Trump is a salesman. I wish he would sell my house someday, because he could probably get millions for it. And I'm telling you, he is a good BS artist. He is the best. Everything he said this week is wrong. He isn't the greatest president in history. Orrin Hatch is wrong about him maybe beating Lincoln and Washington and FDR. That's all wrong. But, God, who has the nerve to talk like this guy? Anyway, Joy Reid, thank you. It's great having you. Good luck this weekend. Everybody's going to be watching you, as they increasingly do. Ruth Marcus of the Post. Nice movie, by the way, The Post. We saw it.
Great.
Anyway,
Go see it.
And John Brabender. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen. Good luck up there in Pittsburgh. Coming up, the Russian investigation. We're the best at that, and we're going to cover it tonight to keep you up to date on that one. This one will bring down the presidency, if anything does. Trump's longtime gatekeeper, by the way, met with the House Intelligence Committee today. Rona Graff. I've talked to her for years trying to get Trump on the show, worked for Trump for decades. What secrets will we learn from her testimony today? That's ahead. Plus, virtually every country at the United Nations voted to rebuke the United States over Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Trump threatened any country voted against us, and bad Santa's making a list. And some of our closest allies are on it. And after notching his first big win, Trump touts a year of huge legislative victories. Didn't you notice them? Boy, they just went past us so fast. And he said he doesn't get any credit as the year comes to an end. Anyway, the White House is bracing for a staff exodus.